to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
I am back. It is Saturday afternoon, and once again, I am tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. And I hope everyone is doing well. I had a pretty productive week myself, and I'm kind of starting to laugh a little bit because maybe I need to come up with a new intro. I've been saying the same thing over and over again for the last, 4 years or so. Might be time to change that up. I've got it pretty well memorized. Let's, we'll see. That seems like a lot of work. But anyhow, back at it here. I have spent the week, I've had some classes, and I spent most of my week actually sitting behind my computer kind of planning out next year. It's that time of year again. Usually takes me 2 or 3 months. I got to sit down. I got to plan out the different classes that I want to provide for everyone or offer everyone next year. I've got my women's group class, which is coming to an end at the end of next month. I'm kind of sad about that. I've really had a great time, but hopefully I am going to come up with a schedule, and I will another one will be firing up in February. So it's only a few months away, and it's going to be bigger and better. And hopefully a lot of the women that are part of it this year will jump in it again next year, and we can kind of continue forward and learn and train even more. I tell you what, out of all the classes I've done over the last year, I've really enjoyed this Women's Shooting Academy. These ladies are so much fun to have. They're smiling. They're having a great time. They ask the greatest questions, right? Just a fantastic group of ladies. Just really enjoyed them. They meet here pretty much. I've got 2 groups. They meet here pretty much every Thursday night. So excuse me, got a little bit of cough still from my cold, but yeah, they meet here about every Thursday evening at 6:00, and we had such a good time. We're gonna round off the year's classes with so I think we're gonna have a night shoot where they get to shoot in the dark and kind of see what it's like, right? I mean, if you have to use your firearm in a dark house or outside in a parking lot, what's that going to be like? They're pretty. We did it the year before with a small group of them, and they enjoyed it, right? I mean, it's pretty entertaining to kind of see the muzzle flash and to kind of see what it's going to be like. And, you might be blinded for a minute too. You never know. So we'll throw that out there, and they're looking forward to that. And we do have a time change coming up in a few weeks, and so that's going to affect the class a little bit as well. Probably by the time they get here, it's going to be dark, so I'll probably pull out the shooting simulator, and we'll spend some more time behind it. So I'm going to miss them. I hope they all come back and sign up for next year's class, or come back and visit me or something, or at the very least, I'd like to see them at least carry on with shooting, right? That's the goal, right? To train, to develop those neural pathways, and continue, honing your craft or mastering. If you enjoy it, you need to keep doing it. Got to keep training, working hard, practicing those fundamentals. I call it a lifetime sport, right? So hopefully they'll continue with that. And I'm sitting here in the podcast room, which I lovingly refer to as the war room, and the weather's getting colder, and it's becoming close to the time of year. We got to wait for this time change, right? And maybe get a little snow. It's close to the time of year that I spend a lot of time out here. Not much to do outside in the yard, and I like to keep everything looking nice, but it's almost time to fire up the reloading presses again and kind of clean this place out a little bit. It kind of, it kind of piles up with things throughout the summer, and I was just digging through some stuff here, and I have an immense, and maybe I'm bragging a little. This is the reloader in me. I've got an immense amount of used brass. I've got buckets and tubs and just ungodly amounts of used brass that I need to sort. I mean, I got tubs that I can't even move myself. They're so full. They're huge tubs. In fact, I'll go ahead and post a picture up on the Facebook page. You guys can check it out. And every one of those tubs you see, and this is just a small portion, but every one of those tubs that you see is clear full to the very top with used brass. We're talking 380, 38 special, 9 mil, 40, 45. I think there's some 10 mil in there. I mean, probably some 357 SIG, 357. There's even some rifle stuff in there. I don't do a lot of rifle stuff out there, but there are a few, probably some 300 blackout in there. Just piles and piles of brass. I think I need to get my kids to come out and sort it for me, since I really don't like doing that part. Lot to talk about. I'm sorry, folks. I did have that cold a while back, and I'm feeling a lot better. Have been for quite a little while now, but I still have a little bit of a tickle in my throat every now and then, especially when I sit down in front of a microphone. So that's going to be my out today. If you hear me coughing just a little bit, but trying to think on some news here. I'm looking at my list. I actually kind of got somewhat organized today. And one of the things I got listed out is talk about my upcoming classes. Well, really, I've got a concealed carry permit class coming up on, I believe it's November 6th. That will be a Saturday. If you're in the local area and you want to get your Idaho Enhanced Concealed Carry Permit class, let me know. Look me up. The contact info is down there in the show notes, and I will throw that information out toward the end of the podcast. But get a hold of me and get you in something like that. Doing lots of private classes, which is good, and it is officially gift certificate season. So I end up selling, lots of gift certificates this time of year, which is fantastic. I mean, what a great gift, right? I mean, what a great gift. Here's a gift certificate for, you got a gun, and here you can go get your enhanced permit class and take care of that. Or here's a gift certificate for a private class, or my women's class. And I think, I'm hoping that I can sell a handful, I sell them, right? I sell them. I'm hoping I get hit up for a bunch of gift certificates. Those are a lot of fun to give out, and I think they make great stocking stuffers, right? Yeah, I got a few local people listening. Most of my people are from all across the country, even across the pond over there. So I doubt I'm going to sell any gift certificates over there. But if you are local and you are looking for something like that, get a hold of me. You can find me on Facebook. And that's right, folks. I am on Facebook. On the Facebook page is the Patriot Defense Facebook page. And you can also find me on YouTube. I'm not doing a live podcast on YouTube this evening. It's just me. I've been outside splitting wood and stuff all day, and I didn't bother to shower or even clean up before I did this thing. So I'm not going to. Nobody wants to see that. No one wants to see my hair from yesterday. I mean, because that's essentially what it is. Rolled out of bed, got right to work, been out splitting wood, cutting wood, getting ready for the winter. So no YouTube live tonight, but you can find us on the Patriot Defense YouTube channel. If you want to subscribe to that, that'd be fantastic. And I also want to throw out there that I do have, Patriot Defense does have a Patreon, and you can go over to Patreon. You can find it. I'll put the link in the show notes. And I've got a handful of patron members signed up. Now, it's only $5 a month. It's really not that much. It's the price of a giant cup of coffee or fancy cup of coffee or whatever it might be, right? It's $5 a month, and you get some videos, and you get an extra podcast. And I have not posted those up for this month yet. I'm just now getting my voice back where I'm not hacking and coughing every 5 minutes. So I plan on getting some videos up hopefully this week. I know I've got some patron members that are like, hey man, where's the videos? Where's the video? Man, I feel like trash. I feel horrible that I have not gotten those up, but seriously, I had to wait for my voice to come back, or it wouldn't be good videos. But with that Patreon membership, and I'm all over the place here. $5 a month will get you a couple extra videos. It'll get you an extra podcast or two. Sometimes I'm feeling a little bit ranty, and I don't want to throw out a ranty podcast necessarily to the public, so you get to take a listen to that as well. Sometimes it might just be random thoughts, but you're going to get a little extra, and I do appreciate the support. The Patreon memberships, right? That $5 a month, it all adds up a little bit, and it helps pay for stuff like bandwidth and everything else. And if you find some value in that, I do appreciate it. If not, and that's fine. I understand. The other thing that you can do is help share the podcast. I will say though that in the Patreon members, anyone that has signed up so far to be on Patreon, to be a patron on Patreon, anyone that has signed up so far, and anyone that signs up from now and until the end of the year gets put in for a raffle, for a drawing, for a Patriot membership over at Front Sight over now in Nevada. And that's a membership. That's a lifetime membership. That's a $5,000 value. $5,000 value that membership is. If you sign up, and we'll put you in a raffle, and if we draw your name, that is all yours. And I'm going to go ahead and throw up a post up on Facebook that'll tell you what a Patriot membership is worth and what it's all about and what you can and can't do with it and all the cool classes that you can take. It's quite the facility from what I hear. I have not had a chance to actually go to Front Sight, but I know a lot of people who have, and they rave about it. So that'd be cool, man. That'd be cool. That'd be awesome, right? You get that, go get a little training. Plus you get my videos for free. Plus you're listening to my podcast all the time, and you get an extra podcast. Who would not want to listen to an extra podcast with my sultry voice, right? And maybe I'll even get the Cajun Cowboy on there. Maybe he'll come do some Patreon podcast episodes with me. I know he's a fan favorite, so we might get him on there as well. But anyhow, you can find that link to the Patreon. You can find that link in the show notes, and I'll have it up on my Facebook page. And if that interests you and you want a chance to win that membership to Front Sight, that'd be cool, man. Sign up, and we'll get your name in the raffle, and we'll let you guys know at the end of the year what is going on. So I was looking at the news here. Now we got all the business out of the way. I usually do the business at the end of the podcast, but I thought I'd mix it up a little bit, right? There was a pretty big story coming out of Norway this week, and I'm sure you guys have all heard it. There was a man who actually went on a shooting rampage with a bow and arrow, and he actually killed 5 people. But let's go ahead and let's take a listen to the news clip that I got here, the audio clip, and then we will discuss further.
Hello, welcome to BBC World News. The Norwegian Prime Minister Erna Solberg says the country has been shaken by the murder of 5 people in a small town by a man armed with a bow and arrow. Police believe he acted alone, but his motive isn't clear, and terrorism hasn't been ruled out. The attack happened in the town of Kongsberg. Police across Norway have been told to arm themselves. Russell Trott reports.
The attacks took place at just after 6 in the evening around the town of Kongsberg. A man, apparently armed with a bow and arrows, walked around the town centre and began at random to shoot at shoppers. His motive is unclear, say police, but they believe he acted alone.
I want to underline that if it's terror-related, we don't know if it's a political attack that has taken place. The police will have to investigate that. We know that in many countries over a long time, attacks have been prevented by good police work, but that the issue of lone perpetrators is difficult.
Some of the casualties were in a supermarket, including an off-duty police officer who's now in hospital. His colleagues were on the scene in minutes.
As this person was on a rampage for between half an hour and an hour. It's not clear yet how long this was going on. But one witness said he saw police firing a warning shot.
A police fired a warning shot. I tell you what, you're going to get arrested if you fire a warning shot here, man. And you're going to have to go to court over that thing. Warning shots are not a good thing to do. I don't care if you're law enforcement or not. In fact, as we go on throughout this article, we will learn that law enforcement over in Norway, they aren't even allowed to carry firearms, right? They don't regularly carry firearms. They pull them out and get them out whenever there is a substantial threat. Whenever they feel that there is a substantial threat, they might show up to work that day and they say, okay, everyone is going to carry your guns today. You're going to be armed today because there is a threat. That's an interesting take on things. And then they're firing a warning shot. So how well trained are they?
And the police have confirmed that there was a warning shot fired during the apprehension.
Images posted on social media show arrows stuck in the wooden walls of houses. The Prime Minister said the community had been hit hard. Norway still remembers the events of 2011 and far-right extremist Anders Breivik, who killed 77 people. A man is in custody as police try to piece together exactly what happened here. Russell Trott, BBC News.
Well, you saw there the journalist Fredrik Drevon, who's based in Oslo. He joins us again for an update. Fredrik, we saw you in that report. Since we last spoke to you, what information have you been able to gather?
I've been following the statements put out by the police and reports in the media. And the police wrote on their website that they have apprehended a 37-year-old Danish citizen who is residing in Kongsberg. And he is now in police custody. And according to his defense lawyer, he is cooperating and explaining himself to his lawyer. It's not clear what his motive might have been. And it's not clear if police is considering this a terror attack. There will be a new press conference shortly where probably new details will emerge.
Right, so that police still don't seem to have a clear idea of why this suspect did what he did. What is the situation in the town of Kongsberg itself? I mean, the kind of shock that there must be after these events must be considerable.
Yeah, we are seeing lots of images about big areas being cordoned off, a very heavy police presence. And lots of people are shocked. And many media have quoted residents about their shock and experience about what they saw and the kind of after effects. And there have also emerged stories about what happened in a supermarket where the perpetrator supposedly started the rampage, and it went on for quite some time. What will now be interesting to see is to learn the response time for the police special forces that are based in Oslo. They should respond to these situations, but we haven't heard how long it took them.
And the police have been told to arm themselves across Norway, and is that because in normal situations they would not be carrying guns?
Yeah, that procedure is quite routine in a threat situation, either actual incident or some ongoing tip or a threat.
So the police in Norway do not arm themselves unless there's an ongoing threat. There's been a tip that there's going to be something going down. But the average day for law enforcement, they walk around unarmed, no guns. Even the police. Are you freaking kidding me? You know, here you have this Katniss Everdeen larper who thinks that he's in the Hunger Games, running around the streets one evening into a grocery store, into a neighborhood, you know, with a bow, shooting people with a bow and arrow. It took him, I think, I'd have to play the clip back again, but I think it said anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes to stop this guy. Well, yeah, because the police weren't armed. And then when they did get armed, they had to fire a warning shot. Oh my gosh, really? Was it really a warning shot, or did they just freaking miss? I would imagine if you don't carry your firearm all the time, right? So I tell people, this is what I tell people in my class. If you're going to carry your firearm, you need to use it. You need to practice with it. You need to develop those neural pathways, that muscle memory. You need to know how to use it, because if you don't, guess what? You're not going to be very good at using it when the time comes, right? You're going to perform to your level of training. So if you're not carrying a gun every day, if this law enforcement officers are not carrying guns every day, then there's a good chance, it's really easy to make a really bad shot, or have someone get super excited with their finger on the trigger and launch around and just call it a warning shot instead of an accidental, negligent discharge, right? I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. They will not let the people of Norway arm themselves. They're not allowed to protect themselves. This guy had a bow and arrow. Do you know how quickly someone could have stopped this had the general public been allowed to protect themselves, had been allowed to go around with firearms for their own self-protection? You know how quickly this could have been shut down, right? I mean, the guy had time, literally, and I would imagine they don't get into this, right? We're not going to listen to any more of that sound clip. It's about over anyway, but we're not going to get into it. But 30 to 45 minutes, a guy with a bow. It took him that long to shut this guy down. He had enough time with a bow and arrow to shoot and kill 5 people. 5 people, right? that blows my mind. And was it because law enforcement wasn't armed at the moment? So then they had to wait for this response team, right? This tactical response team this guy talks about to show up, because they had to get their guns, man. We have to unlock our guns. We don't carry our guns every day. Who's got the key to the freaking gun safe? We got to get our guns. I gotta run home and get my gun and put it on my duty belt. I need it today. Something happened, right? Absolutely mind-blowing to me. Absolutely ridiculous. But I'm telling you, that is what our country wants to do to us. Right? That's what they want to do to us. They want to take our firearms. They want to keep us from protecting ourselves. They want the guns, and once we do, we're under their control. We are dependent on them. If they want to carry guns, we're dependent on them. If they don't, we're dependent on unarmed law enforcement to protect ourselves. And I don't think that's a wrong statement, right? I don't think that's out of the picture for us here in the U.S., because they want to take our guns and then they want to defund the police. That makes no sense. So now you don't even have an unarmed officer that can run home or run back to the station and find out who's got the key to the gun safe to get the freaking guns out like Barney Fife, right? You've got literally no law enforcement, right? They want to defund the police. So you would have no law enforcement. You wouldn't be allowed to have guns. And no one's got guns except for, well, the bad guy. And if he can't get guns, guess what? It's just proven right here that in 30 minutes, if no one has a firearm, a guy can walk around with a bow and shoot and kill 5 people. That right there is a test case. 5 people with a bow in 30 minutes when no one has a firearm and is able to stop them. Here's another question. This guy had a bow and he's shooting at people. Okay, so bows work good if you're like there's some distance there, but if you ran up on the guy and like tackled him, right? He can't shoot you with his bow at that point, right? Because you got to draw the bow back. You got to have some distance, up close and personal on top of the guy. He ain't going to get you with his arrow. He's not going to shoot you with his freaking bow. It ain't going to happen. So why didn't that happen? Have they neutered the general public there in Norway enough that they won't even fight back? That they're so against violence that they won't even fight back? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't even know if that's a thing, but seems to me like maybe it was, right? If it took law enforcement to stop this guy. I don't know. It's just mind-blowing to me. I'm afraid that we're going to end up like Norway. I'm afraid that we're going to end up like the people down in, the poor citizens of Australia, if we don't pay attention to what is happening and kind of just, fight it off. I can see Biden saying, no one needs a bow and arrow. Take our guns. No one needs a bow and arrow. Who needs a bow and arrow? We're going to take the bow and arrow. What you need is a slingshot. What you need is a slingshot. That's what you need. I told my wife to go out and just fire her slingshot up in the air, and that's all it would take, and that guy would run away. That slingshot's all you need. My gosh, this world is getting crazier and crazier by the day, I tell you what. Okay, one more thing, a few things. The next thing I want to talk about is, I talk to people throughout the day, right? And it's quite interesting because I one of my big things that I talk about all the time is you've got to when they want to introduce new gun laws, my big thing is we need to enforce the gun laws that we have. We don't need any new gun laws. You need to enforce the gun laws that we already have. And that would probably save you a lot of trouble, right? I mean, enforce those gun laws that we already have. We don't need new ones. We just need the ones that we do have to work. And they don't work unless you enforce them. Now, there's a lot of ex-law enforcement out there. There's a lot of ex-special forces and veterans and whatnot. And there's an incident that happened. I'm not going to get too into the meat of it, but there was a special forces vet that got into some trouble, and he went and accosted a gentleman at a restaurant. He had been drinking at the time, and he had his firearm with him, which is a what? Which is a no-no. And he accosted the guy and beat him up and threatened him with his firearm while he was, I'm going to say, I don't know that he's drunk, but why he had alcohol in his system, which I don't know about anywhere else, but in Idaho, that's a no-go. Even a sip, and you have a gun with you, that's not allowed. Right? That's a no-go thing. Well, anyhow, this gentleman, he got sent to prison, I think, for a year or two, and I know some people that are upset by that. They are upset that this guy, who some bad things happened, and he went to take care of it his own way, and he had been drinking, and he had his firearm with him, and he threatened a guy with a firearm, right? He went and did this. They're upset that he was put in prison because of this. They were upset that he was convicted because of what? He broke some gun laws, right? And they think that the judge should have went more lenient on him, right? Because of what? Because he was a veteran. And not only was he a veteran, but he was a special forces veteran. In my mind, we need to enforce the gun laws. If I screw up and break a gun law, and I need to be punished for it. That's the way it is. I don't necessarily like all the gun laws, but if I screw up, you need to enforce them on me, on my friends, on anyone who has a firearm, right? Enforce them. That's what you need to do. There's no special outs in my mind. There's no special outs because you're a veteran. There's no special outs because you're ex-law enforcement. There's no special outs or leniency because you're, not just a veteran. You're a special forces vet. I don't freaking care. If you're a special forces vet, you should know better, right? You need to know better. You have more training than the average Joe, so you know better, and yet you still went and did something just asinine and stupid. Sorry, go to prison. You spend your time in prison for that year or two or whatever you're in there, and get out and sort your life out. You made a mistake, you have to pay for it. That's the way it goes. That's the way it works in my brain anyway. I'm so thankful for law enforcement. I'm thankful for the military and all the good things and the sacrifices you guys make for us. I think there's some bad apples in the bunch. But I think most of you are there to do good, and you do good, and you're great people for it, and I'm thankful for you. But I also don't go around giving you guys passes either, because we're all human and we all make mistakes, and we'll have to pay for those mistakes. Veteran or not, military, current military or not, law enforcement or not, it doesn't matter to me. You make a mistake, you pay for it. You're no better than me, right? You guys aren't a member of some weird elite team, right? We all put our pants on one leg at a time. That's the way it works. That's my take on it. So there you go. Now, I don't know if this is going to get out to, I've changed the names in these stories to protect those whatever. I just don't. It is what it is. If it gets out, it gets out. But that's how I feel, right? That's how I feel. And this is my podcast, and I may ruffle some feathers with that one, but I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want to do because it is my podcast, and I spend most of my life, I spend since I started Patriot Defense, and I love Patriot Defense, and I love helping people, but it's not very often where I can get out my true thoughts on things, my true feelings, because if I do and it offends someone, guess what? It kind of screws up my business. And so it is what it is. But I think you're going to find me kind of freeing myself a little bit more and talking a little bit more about the way I really feel about things. And I think that's just me, and you're going to get it. And I'm to the point now, love it or leave it, man. Whatever. It is what it is. So there's that. And there was something else that went on locally here where there were some kids that went missing, and there were some people that stood up, and just locally it seemed to be quite a few actually. I don't know all the ins and the outs, right? I'm just going off by what I do know. And there's like 4 or 5, maybe even up to 6 kids missing over a matter of a few weeks. They went missing, supposedly. They went missing, and supposedly we were told. Not by law enforcement, mind you, but we were told that drugs and alcohol and the Southern Idaho's seedy underbelly was to blame for this, and these kids were being groomed, and they were this and they were that, and the law enforcement's not doing crap. Law enforcement's not doing anything, and and why do we know this? I have no idea, but these people thought they had an inside take on everything that was going on. And so what did they do? They drove around and they looked for certain vehicles and missing vehicles and stuff that these kids were in. And I guess that's fine. You can do that, right? You can drive around as citizens and do that. Now, I don't know if any firearms were involved, right? I don't know if any firearms were involved with these people who were jumped out and they had created this little posse. It is what it is, right? I don't really agree with that, right? Law enforcement's there, let them do their thing. You don't have the inside scoop. But anyhow, they said all the kids were found. I think all the kids showed up back at home. I don't think they were found necessarily. I think they showed up back at home. But that's another story for another day. But you're not the police. You're not law enforcement. Let law enforcement do their job. That's the way I look at it, right? You're walking a fine line. You're walking a fine line when you get a group of people running around trying to do law enforcement's job. And then after it's all said and done, you come out and say, and there's evil in this valley and everyone needs to band together, get together, and they need to put their foot on the neck of this evil that is rising up in our valley. We need to shut it down now. All of us. Well, are you calling for a militia? Are you calling for an armed posse? I'd be really careful because there's a lot of gun owners, and I love gun owners, don't get me wrong, but there's a handful of people out there who think that they just are looking, all right? I've seen these people in class. I've seen these people out and about. I've talked to them, but they're looking for an opportunity to use their firearm. And I think you need to be really careful stirring some of these people up because they're going to get into a lot of trouble. And I think if it goes too far, if you're the one that kind of organized this, or you're the one, maybe not even organized it, but the guy that suggested it, or the guy that put the idea or the thought out there, the guy that's rallying the so-called troops, but you're not really doing anything, I think that could be a problem. I think that, if you rile people up and they go and do something and they think they're doing it in your name and then bad things happen and they go to prison or people die because they've made a stupid decision with their firearm, acting like, larping around like law enforcement, I think that might be a problem. I think you're going to have to be really, really careful, taking on stuff like this and talking. And I don't even know if what I'm saying is making sense, but I'm saying how I feel, but I'm trying to keep the names, quiet. Anyone local is probably going to know what I'm talking about. And I'm so glad everything worked out well and the kids came home. But this, I don't know. I don't see good things happening if this continues. Let law enforcement do their job. We're not law enforcement, right? Don't give gun owners a bad name, okay? Don't give gun owners a bad name. It's just, I don't know. It's not a good look, man. It's not a good look. And I think I'll stop right there before I get myself into more trouble, because there could be I might get in trouble for saying any of this. We'll see what happens. Todd likes to play nice, but he gets tired of holding his tongue. So this is where I'm going to let it all out at. Let's go back and talk about my women's classes. I had, it's that time of year. People are busy. It got cold out around here. So my women's classes, my women's groups have been a little smaller, right? People just can't make it in and whatnot. Well, I was talking. We had a couple show up and we watched a video and we did some PowerPoint stuff, and I was talking to them. And I was talking about situational awareness. And as I sit there and I talk to these women about situational awareness and the places they go during the day and the experiences that they've had, and we talked about reading a book called The Gift of Fear. It's the book's called The Gift of Fear. It's by Gavin de Becker. And if you like to read or even find it on an audiobook, I encourage everyone to take a listen to it, especially women. It's a great book. It talks about the fear being a gift, obviously, just like the title says. And whether you call it your sixth sense, some kind of intuition or whatever, it says that you need to pay attention to that little feeling you get, that little thing in your brain, that little voice in your head, or that feeling you get, or whatever, that if something doesn't feel right, it's not right. You need to pay attention to that. We are raised up to be just super nice. We don't want to think badly about people, but you know what? your fear is a gift, and it can save your life, right? It can tell you that something's not right, and you need to pay attention to that. And as I'm telling this to these women, these ladies in my class, I'm thinking, man, and I looked at them and I said, I'm going to say something here. I want to get your reaction. And I said, we live different lives. And they looked at me like, what do you mean we live different lives? Of course we live different lives. I said, well, I'm a man, you're a woman. I go do things that you would have to probably, think twice about. And they're like, well, like what? And I said, well, for example, I'll park out in the back 40 at freaking Walmart at 11 o'clock. I don't go to Walmart at 11 o'clock at night. Well, I guess I have before, but late at night in the dark, I don't think twice about parking way out there by myself and having to walk from the store to my vehicle or from the vehicle to the store. I pay attention to what's going on around me, but I don't think twice about it, right? Where a woman, she really has to think twice about it. I mean, should I park out there? I probably shouldn't park that far away. I should park under a light. I should park next to the store, that kind of stuff. I think about someone living in town and even walking out to their vehicle in the morning. Even a woman, should I do that alone? Can I be there? Is someone hiding behind a bush? They're going to be stronger than me possibly. Are they going to overpower me? I think about me in the wintertime. I run in the dark, and I come up top out of the canyon. I run up in town at night with a headlamp, and there's no danger out there that I can see for me, and I go run it all the time, no problem whatsoever, right? But you know what? I wouldn't want my wife to go out there and run that section in the dark when I do. I wouldn't want my daughters to go out there. Why not? Because it's dark, because they're female, because stuff happens, right? Women, I think, got more of a target on the head. They are known, and I'm not saying they are, so don't, if there's any feminists out there, I don't want to stir anybody up, right? But they are known as the weaker of the species, right? A lot more sexual attacks take place on women than they do men. It happens on men, but it's going to be a lot more on women, right? They have to think about things differently, right? Another place I do go and run, I've had some other women that like to go and run as well, and they always ask me, Todd, is it safe down there? Is it safe down there? There was a car parked on the side of the road down there, and it was running, and its lights were off, and I don't know if someone was sleeping in there. I don't know where that person was at. I didn't feel safe, so I just turned around and left. Where I would go, I'd make note of that, but I'd still go out and do my run. I have no problem with that. So women go around, and they have a lot more to be aware of and a lot more to be worried about being followed, about being taken advantage of, it's absolutely amazing. And so as I talk to these women about why did you take this class, a lot of them say, because I felt like I needed to be able to defend myself, right? It's really interesting getting the female perspective of it. I feel like I need to be able to defend myself. I needed to get a firearm. I wanted to do it safely, and kudos to you for wanting to do it safely. Like, I needed some training. I'm still going to be aware of my surroundings, and there's still places that I'm not going to go. But they're like, I could be in a grocery store getting my groceries, and some creepy dude's following me around. I've never once been in a grocery store and had a creepy dude follow me around. But is it because I'm 260 pounds and not very attractive? Probably, right? But many of them will say that they've had creepy guys make lewd comments to them. They've had creepy guys following them through the store. They've been nervous. Sometimes they've just hurried up and left. They're always looking over their shoulder. So, is that really the world that women live in? I believe that it is. I believe that that's the way they're raised. I believe that it's a real threat out there to them, right? They have a lot more threats out there. They have more of a target on them than I have on me, just purely because they are female. And I've had, like I said, I've had so much fun empowering these women this year, teaching them how to shoot their guns, getting them comfortable with it. With my buddy Magnum, with his help, teaching them open hand combat, teaching them how to apply a tourniquet, first aid, teaching them how to break out of holds and defend themselves and what to do. The empowering part of it is just through the roof. It's just absolutely fantastic. I've enjoyed it so much. But what a sad thing that we live in a society where women have to constantly look over their shoulder like that. And we have to have classes just for women so they can learn how to actually feel comfortable and feel empowered to go throughout their everyday lives. That's a sad world that we live in, but it's the truth, and the truth hurts. Like I said, and kudos to them for wanting to get prepared. And I think that whether, if you've got a wife, a daughter, a mother, whatever, we've all got one of those, right? In your life, that woman, that special woman in your life, whoever it is, you need to get them into a class, whether it's mine or someone else's or whatever. You need to take them aside. You need to talk with them. You need to get them in some kind of self-defense class, some kind of open-hand combat class. Teach them how to use a firearm. Teach them how to use mace. Whatever they're comfortable with, whatever is right and legal for your area, help them out, man. Help them out, because they live a different life than you. They honestly do. They live a different life than you. A lot of times you can contact your local sheriff's department, and they will be able to tell you, hey, this is a good place to go, or maybe even the sheriff's department puts something on for women, right? It's something that you really need to take into consideration and look into and help out the women in your life. So, I'm looking at my list here, folks, and man, I may have covered everything already today. I got to get the guys back on here again. The weather's starting to change. I got to get the gunslinger back in here. I got to get the Cajun cowboy back in here, and maybe I'll get old Dean in here as well again. And we got to get back onto the path to some longer shows. I do apologize; these have been kind of shorter than normal lately, but I do appreciate the support. I appreciate you listening, and I really do appreciate the patrons. You guys help to make the world go round over here, make the show go on. Like I said, you pay for equipment. I do all kinds of that stuff. Very important stuff, which I do appreciate all the help that I can get and the kind words. And for all you patron members, you have some more videos coming soon. Like I said, I've actually got through this podcast, only coughed once or twice. So I'm kind of happy about that. That tells me that it's time to pull out the video equipment again and make some more videos. But until then, I'm going to cut out for tonight. I've got some work that I have to actually go and do this evening, and I want to get some ads up for some of my classes. Like I said, I'm sorry it is so short. But I do appreciate you guys listening. Share this with your friends. Share this with your family on social media. I would appreciate it. And if you got any questions or comments, you can call me. You can text me. Area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. And I will respond. I respond really good to text messages, and I will answer my phone. And we have a new listener that actually reached out, got a hold of me, and I'll be danged if I can't get this darn internet to work out, a Wi-Fi to work out here where I'm at. Oh, what is going on here? Okay, continue. What? I don't know what just happened. Let me see here. I'm going to pull this up. Give me just a minute. I want to, call out to this gentleman. I don't know what it's doing. Facebook just did something. It totally reset on me, and I'm not going to be able to get on it. But if he's listening, I think, was it Steve Willis? I think his name was Steve Willis. I might have got the name wrong. I'm not looking at my phone. Steve Willis is a new listener. He's been listening to some of the back episodes. He reached out to me, sent me a text or a message. Actually, he sent me an actual message on Facebook, which I appreciate. Said he enjoyed the show, and he's going to keep on listening. So if you want to do that, shoot me a text message, shoot me a message on Facebook. Tell me your name. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I'll carry a conversation on, and I'll do you. I'll call out your name on the next podcast. I have no problem doing that. But until then, everyone, have a great week. Go down into the show notes. Check out the Patreon link. Sign up for Patreon if you want to be entered to win the Patriot membership lifetime membership over at Frontside Academy in Pahrump, Nevada. That would be wonderful. You guys have a great week. I'll see you next weekend. Bye.